Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Welcome to Rebels Cast, and my name is Jonathan, and tonight, I'm afraid the Force was not in Nikki. She has some kind of reaction of some kind, and her voice is gone. So, today, I'm joined by a guest who we were planning to have in anyway, but tonight he'll be a co-host, Alil from the League of Geeks and SMG's Nuff Said.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I appreciate that. That's you guys have a great show here, and love to talk about Rebels.
Thanks. So I say we just go ahead and jump right in. So the episode we're discussing tonight is Call to Action, and this one we have Stephen Stanton returning as Tarkin, which is great.
Yes.
Which is great. And I know he did. You watch Clone Wars, right?
You know what? I watched parts of it. I did not follow it as closely as I probably should have. I plan on going back and watching all of Clone Wars. But was he on Clone Wars?
Yeah, he was in. I think he was in much later. He was in the Citadel episodes.
Okay.
Much later. I think in I want to see season 4 or season 5. I'm not sure. But yeah, he was definitely great in that. Highly recommended.
Definitely have to check those because those are all on Netflix now, right?
Yes, correct.
All right, yeah.
So
for those like me, go to Netflix and start cramming some Clone Wars because I did enjoy. I think I got through the first 2 seasons, and I did that out of order, and I plan on going back in and watching them in order.
Yeah. Well, the first several seasons were out of order anyway. But
oh, really?
The episodes were out of order anyway. But that's a different story. We won't get into that. That's a problem I've heard for since I've been listening to podcasts. That's been a topic of discussion. So we won't get into that. So yeah, and so in general, before we get into the episode, what is your overall impressions of Rebels so far?
I'm really enjoying it. I like some of the nods that they've given, and there was that one episode with R2 and 3PO where if anybody out there is a big Disney fan of the Disney parks, which I am a huge fan of the Disney parks, you kind of get the Disney Star Wars ride. Kind of a nod to it in that episode, and I like that. I think it's a clever series. I enjoy the animation. I kind of like the style. It wasn't initially when I saw the initial photos. I didn't think it was going to be that good. I love the Inquisitor. I'm really hoping that there's more development for him because it was a character I did not know about. And some of the rumors for Episode 7 have talks of Inquisitors. So I'm curious how that'll tie in, and I'm really enjoying the show. I like it. I was shocked initially at the voice cast because I did not realize that was Freddie Prinze Jr. Early on, but it's a great show. I've been keeping up with it.
Cool stuff. Yeah, same here. So we start with the episode. We get what is it? Almost like what's the word? Return of the Jedi kind of thing, an almost tribute of some kind to that.
Oh, yeah, I get that. Okay, I get what you're trying to say.
I mean, the only difference is that they're not in space, they're on a planet. And first of all, that planet, the city, beautiful, amazing.
Yeah, no, they did a great job with a lot of these the scenery and kind of set pieces for this cartoon. It's really really well done.
Right. I mean, just watching, I'm kind of watching it right now, and just like seeing it, I'm like, I can kind of in my mind imagine Return of the Jedi. I've seen Star Wars like 500 times. You know, it's I've seen the movie so much, and exactly, you know, seeing in space, the shuttle, Imperial shuttle, the wings going down, going into the thing, but of course it's not the Death Star too. It's this other kind of Imperial Center, and you know you have all the troopers lined up, and though instead of an officer you have the Minister, the Agent Callus. Oh yeah, what do you think about Agent Callus?
Um, I don't know. I'm more a big fan of the Inquisitor, and Agent Callus to me is kind of, I don't know. I don't think it's a needed character to really get into and develop. That's just my feeling on.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess, I like to go back and watch these episodes a few times. I actually just watched this one today.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to be prepared before the show. It's hard for me to watch things on Monday nights because I'm usually editing my own shows. So
Right.
But I think with more screen time, maybe I would enjoy that character a bit more.
Agree. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and like Vader being disappointed, the progress. The Emperor is very, unhappy with your progress, on the Death Star 2, and just like here, he's basically kind of describing how, we assume the big guy is kind of, or big guys are not proud, not happy with what's been going on here, and they're just trying to make excuses and such. So kind of like that, kind of like Vader visiting there, he's kind of like, he's kind of coming here, he kind of wants to take control of things, speed things up, because up till now, I mean, we had the Bridgers who were kind of raised a rebellion, started one, and and I think this is definitely kind of something that's been something big in the process of this rebellion starting to rise up, and Tarkin and such. They really, basically him coming here is just to like, put his foot down and really get some order, get some things restarted.
No, I agree because right now, really there's not much of a rebellion. Right now it's not unified, and I think this episode is kind of that tipping point where I think that they're, because I'd say, well, how many episodes are we in now? Are we in 9, 10?
This is, let's see, if you not counting Spark of Rebellion. So on our feed, it'll be episode 11.
Okay, so with that, I think the first 10 episodes. Then it was them kind of doing odd jobs. Kind of it seemed like kind of like the old Incredible Hulk TV series. They're kind of going from place to place and helping people in need or helping themselves. And in this one, I think it really starts to take on that face of the rebellion. Now you're looking at, now they're doing something for the greater good. And I liked this. This actually was probably my favorite episode we've had so far.
And this episode, not only to, the original trilogy, but it also took me back a little bit to the original, Spark of Rebellion. I mean, even, I think it was Tarkin that said, this is a spark of rebellion.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
And of course, you had other speeder bikes chasing after them, just like in Spark of Rebellion. So it's a bit of a homecoming kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and and I think this is kind of where you're going to start seeing more of And I didn't want it to end. Even when I was watching with my kids, they all like looked at me and they kind of screamed no because they wanted to know what was going to happen next. And I haven't had an episode like that yet this season. I think I've had like I watch it and be like, oh, that was fun, that was good. But then this one ended and it was just like, no, I want to know more. It can't end it here, and I think that's why. I think this is going to be the turning point for this show. Where you're going to see more of that feeling like you were talking about with the original trilogy, because we're probably going to get more things involving the rebellion.
Right.
And they've already teased out that we're going to get some characters for season 2. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but it was really cool. Like you said, that whole part in the beginning with the speeder bikes when they're flying around, and just basically messing with the stormtroopers. I thought was a lot of fun, and I think this is a really good show.
Yeah, agreed.
But you know what? I was actually shocked in a place where it went a little dark, where Tarkin was talking to those guys. And basically, they're executed right there. I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah, I forget what my reaction was like. What? I kind of just, I'm not sure if I said, "Oh my god," or something. Like, it was just kind of shocking, and it wasn't. And from I remember, it wasn't really any. He didn't really give any signal. He just kind of regular conversation, and then before you know it, I could see the gasp on one of them's face. One thing I missed talking about is when Tarkin was discussing, they were saying how they've talked about how one of them, it's being led by a Jedi, and Tarkin is saying how he knew the Jedi and such, and and the minister is like, I had heard some rumors, because, it's a big galaxy. So, we understand that a lot of people don't know about Order 66. They don't know about, because all the scenes are really of, out in the jungle or on the Wookiee planet. So they didn't really see all this chaos. Most people didn't see this. So the minister's like, I heard some rumors, partially she doesn't want to talk about it, but partially she really doesn't know, and a lot of people don't know, it's just like, so many years have gone by that I think a lot of this information they're trying to, keep out of archives and such, and the news. It's the propaganda.
Well, exactly, and I think that's why I like. They kind of brought that up in this episode. That's kind of what they wanted to do. This is all imperial propaganda right now, and this is their way to take a stand. And but you're right. Nobody believes, because it's so far. Was it 5 years after? What do they say? This is 5 years after. Revenge of the Sith.
Well, it's
5 years before. No, I'm sorry. So it's 10 years after that. So it's 5 years because it's 15 years between the two movies, right?
It's more like 19 because Luke is about 19 in A New Hope.
Okay. So and he was born. So 19 years. So we're 14 years past that. That's basically a generation that never even knew that Jedi existed, and the people on these far off lands, they've been gone for so long that you forget, you don't remember what they were, what they did. And I think, that kind of rumblings is what what you see here, that nobody believes it because nobody's even seen them. Nobody ever understands what they are.
Right.
And I like that concept.
Yeah, same thing. And then of course in the new films, the sequels, that'll definitely granted it'll be a big time jump, but I imagine, some of during that time, there was more and more learning about the Jedi. They weren't as well known.
Yeah.
So of course, in this episode is definitely a follow-up to the last one, where, Travis, and we'd suspected, of course, before that Travis might have been working with, was a double agent, and of course he was outed, and in this episode he's like, basically now that he's kind of, his cover's been blown, and, now he's offering up some credits which I think is definitely something that was about to come about eventually, is just offering some kind of bounty for these groups.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And I definitely like to see some bounty hunters coming after them, and I definitely can see Boba Fett or, any of them. I would love to see a bunch of the bounty hunters come back and, maybe team up and try to go after these rebels. I think that would be really cool.
I am curious if they're going to go that route because, I mean, at least for season 1, I wonder, because I don't even know how many episodes we have left.
Let's see. I believe I believe we have about 17 episodes. Let's see. Yeah, I believe we have a total of 17 episodes. 16. Oh, I think 16. I think 16 is for season 1.
Okay. So there's 5 left. We're probably not going to get into much more of those kind of characters. At least I don't think. I mean, I think they would save that for season 2.
Yeah.
Which, rumors have it, we're going to be getting a Han Solo sighting for season 2.
Right. Yeah,
which would be cool. I don't know how they're going to play it. How young they're going to go. I mean, it's got to be 5 years, of course. So or 4, I guess.
Yeah. You saw the Yoda episode where.
In the cave.
Well, no. I'm talking about like when Han appeared. It was the Lego special where. Han appeared and it said Ian, and then he had to like turn.
Yeah, I have that Lego minifig. I love that thing.
Yeah, cool. So of course the next part, of course they're kind of wondering what to do, and Ezra. I think a cool part of this Ezra's kind of arc is, of course, he's kind of not quite sure of himself. He wants to do this, but at the same time he's kind of hesitant. And of course, this is kind of when the plan is revealed. To try to use one of these big towers to transmit, which I think is definitely a cool thing, and it's definitely a big step in the series.
No, it is, and I think that's kind of one of my favorite scenes is when that transmission goes out, because we've gotten some in-depth background in Ezra and his family, and what they went through and who they were, and the fact that he's kind of reliving that here, and basically the same kind of sacrifice happens for him. Again, his mentor parent, is voicing against the Empire, and they're taken away. So I like that development and how he's going to stand up to it, what he's going to have to do.
Agreed. And of course, we get another callback to the Empire Strikes Back with the Imperial probe droid.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I love that sound. It just definitely takes me back.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really cool. I mean, this is, I guess this is the show that I hoped Clone Wars was like. You know what I mean? Like, and nothing to talk bad about Clone Wars, because again, I didn't finish it and I heard a lot of great things about it. But when I first started watching it, I think that's why I kind of was in and out of it. It wasn't what I hoped. And this is initially not what I expected, but I do like the tie-in, and maybe that's why, because I have more fond memories of A New Hope rather than Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. So I guess that's why I think this is the kind of perfect cartoon with that.
Right. And of course we have the return of the little this creature that apparently is unique to Lothal, is the little I can't remember what the name of it is. The little cat-like creature. I can't remember the name of it. That jumps on the probe.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the name of it.
And of course that was initially when Ezra was trying to get control of the Force, and not to be, and to calm himself, and to just just be calm with the Force and be able to, pet this thing and just let it be at peace as well.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of wondering, what exactly Ezra was doing to this thing. And it was almost like, I wasn't really sure if it was like somehow controlling it, somehow like, I've never really seen this kind of thing, in the use of the Force,
Yeah, it might be because I mean he did in that one episode kind of it seemed like he had more control of his force power has a lot of control with the things around him, more so than I think Kanan does.
Yeah.
And maybe you're right. Maybe that was his control of the force kind of has some kind of bond with creatures around. I don't know, but it's something interesting to see if they explore into it any further.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because as we know, sometimes even the leaders like Kanan and such don't always don't always think through by putting their bikes just on the side of the road, because there's always, the Empire always has some kind of technical advantage, and Imperial probes, of course,
Yeah.
you know, and of course that's when we kind of have the plan of, oh yeah, and also I think let's see, we also get the Force theme someplace, I remember.
Oh god, no, I don't remember. I have it playing right now in the background, but it's on mute, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But of course we've seen how Sabine is the ever technical girl, the all kind of all skillful, and she's kind of like with Chopper, like, the ability to like spike using these spikes. And I definitely remember in like in Knights of the Old Republic when you had to use like a spike to like gain access to different things. So that was cool.
Yeah, no, I do remember that too. Now I'm trying to remember the games. It's been a long time since I played them. But yeah, and you know what? I really like her character. It's because it's different. It's something different for the Star Wars universe, at least for me. Again, I don't know if they had characters like this in the Clone Wars, but having a female character like this who's kind of strong-willed and who can take action, take charge.
Yeah, there definitely were a few, and I think that's definitely something to learn whenever you eventually go back and go through the series, because there are a few. So, and of course we do have another kind of Master Padawan scene, which we've had several times with Ezra, because as of course the show is kind of through Ezra's eyes, and it's just kind of this kind of mentoring kind of thing. And as we kind of mentioned earlier, it's just, it's what he wants to do, with his parents. It's just kind of, he says he's, like my parents, but I'm not them. He's kind of unsure of himself,
Yeah, I mean that's kind of that's his journey to kind of find out who he is in this, and if he is like his parents, which at the end when he's sending out the message, he's taking that role that he is like his parents. He is going to stand up for the little people and do what's right.
Right, and I think really why he's hesitant is he says that he doesn't want to lose you guys. I don't want to lose you guys.
Yep.
I mean, and really, to be honest, he just really can't put that on his shoulders. I mean, partly because it's really Kanan and Hera's. I mean, really, it's really Hera's kind of thing. She's the one that kind of has the most information out of it all. She's the one that has the main contact with Forum.
Yeah.
And it's just and it's just, I do like that kind of thing where there's just kind of kind of kept in the dark. And that episode, several episodes back, where there is still some kind of lack of trust and stuff in the group, no matter, even if they've known each other for so long.
Well, I think there's going to be for a while until that big thing happens, or that big loss happens, or because I mean I guess we can assume, because we know what happens in A New Hope, that Kanan probably doesn't survive this series. That's kind of my prediction, and maybe that's something that's going to bond this team and bring out that bigger trust issue that maybe that they don't have at this point, because they still are kind of that ragtag group that still can kind of break off at any point. I get that feeling at any time during this that they love each other and that they trust each other, but when they can make that hard decision if they have to and just leave. But I think Ezra's going to be the one that's going to bring that together and make this more of a family unit than it is now.
Right, and this tower kind of reminds me of Ezra's. You know how Ezra's little place, and that tower and that little thing, that definitely kind of took me back to this. I mean, just from the distance, the animation, the art, and then you kind of go underneath. I mean, obviously it's much bigger, but it's still kind of the same design. And I haven't really read up on that to see, what the relation is to these things, if there is,
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely interesting that it's just like, kind of pushing, and kind of, pushing Sabine to her limit, and I definitely like the cool animation of, Chopper putting the spike in, which is cool, and of course, this is when we get, like the last episode was a trap, this is another trap, because we saw in a earlier, Tarkin was kind of, Callus was like wanting to, go after them right away, but, of course Tarkin, the ever strategist that he is, the governor, kind of wanted to trap them in somewhere, and that's what they do. And you see these reimagined Republic gunships coming in, where it's kind of like, there's kind of different parts of it that look like a TIE fighter, but it still kind of opens up, and they hold onto the bars just like a Republic gunship. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, I love that scene and the trap. I mean, it was perfect. They're there. Well, what do they want with this? They still don't know why they're there, and I like that idea that they're going to let them get in, and then bam, they're going to hit them, right when they get comfortable. And I thought that was, that's why, and Tarkin makes that comment. You don't know how to win a war,
right,
because he's been through it, with the Jedi. So I thought that was really cool, and I really did like that scene a lot. I'm actually watching that right now as they're flying in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't really think about that so much because this is the second time I'm watching it, and I watched it yesterday, then watched it again, and now I'm streaming it. Now I'm watching it as we talk, and I didn't really think about it so much the first time, but I'm definitely now thinking it much more. And of course, the way the Inquisitor jumps out, just like the Jedi do.
Oh yeah.
Which is definitely cool. And of course, I like the scene where it's just like, where Ezra needs, Kanan tells Ezra to tell Zeb to leave the gun, and it's kind of a, we always knew that Ezra was kind of the little brother, kind of Zeb was kind of bossing him around, but in this episode, Zeb was kind of the kid, how he kind of, he loved the gun, and even in the first, when he first jumped on it, he's like kind of smiling, kind of happy that he has this giant turret,
Well, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? But no, yeah, I mean, it was it. And then that's what I'm saying, like, you see Ezra kind of taking a little bit more of a leadership role here. More than I think he anticipated for himself.
Yeah, I mean, Zeb just jumps on the back of that thing. And of course, right when Zeb is, and even when it's flying off, I can see the little thing, like, kind of bouncing, the speeder, like, bouncing. I like that. I like that cool little animation, because it's like Zeb really needs, like, his big one, It really
no, definitely.
I mean, even with a light Ezra on there, Zeb still kind of makes this thing, weighs it down, I mean, they probably have some kind of warning of recommending people don't, they probably have like this, like, for speeders, we recommend only one person. Well, we definitely don't recommend, a human and, what is Zeb's species?
I never remember. I know he talks about it in that one episode where they're basically all dead, so I keep forgetting. But yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all that. But I also think that scene is really cool when Kanan kind of throws the Inquisitor off. By having them run inside to get away, and then he takes out the control panel.
Right.
And the Inquisitor, like, that look on his face, like, oh, he means some business here.
Right. I mean, I definitely like the scene where, you know, Kanan kind of tells them, you know, it's almost like the Force will be with you kind of thing, where,
Yeah.
you know, he kind of tells, you know, kind of holding up everyone else while they all kind of get away,
Right.
you know. Um, you know, it's just like this, I'll be right behind you, you know, and that's always kind of the, you know, and of course, like in movies, you know, that's kind of the line where, you know, it means they're not going to make it.
Exactly.
You know, but of course we know he's going to make it. He's a main character.
Well, I don't know. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Disney takes that at the, the rest of the season is trying to get him back out, and I mean Obi-Wan didn't survive A New Hope, and maybe this is kind of the role he's going to play here to lead on Ezra, and maybe we get another Jedi in hiding.
Well, then they can't sell toys.
That's true, but I mean, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
But they can though, because then they can create a new toy.
Yes.
we still buy Obi-Wan figures, and
yeah, almost 40 years later.
Yep.
Yeah, so I definitely think it's kind of cool of, seeing, definitely seeing the gunship coming up and just still trying to just take them out, just boom, 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 and of course, the stormtrooper just never. Don't even hold a candle to the girl. We knew they weren't going to hit him.
Yeah.
Just a little duck. I mean, about the only way for stormtroopers to actually hit them is if they're all standing in one line.
Yeah.
And even then.
JJ better fix that for episode 7. I need the stormtroopers to actually make some contact here. I need them to be. Because they look so awesome. They need to start being awesome.
I mean, John Boyega, at the least. He's got to be able to shoot straight. I will definitely be disappointed if he's not shooting straight.
Definitely.
Because I think he's definitely a potential Jedi. So. Yeah, I always like whenever the Inquisitor and Kanan take their battles, fight. And it's almost like, at some points, it looks like Kanan kind of has the upper hand. But then again, the Inquisitor, who is, we understand who, trained right under Vader, kind of was taught by Vader, these, attack, the Sith, push forward, and so.
Yeah. Well, and that's I guess that's why I'm drawn to the Inquisitor, and I'm still shocked that it's Jason Isaacs.
Yes.
For those that don't know, I mean, come on, he's Malfoy in Harry Potter, the older Malfoy.
Nikki is definitely a fan of Jason Isaacs. She's said that a few times.
So, well, I mean, I guess at this point we get the message out, and you see the people see the message, to rebel, and then they blow up the tower, and
right.
It's
though I do like to actually to go back a little bit. I did like to see them all kind of flying in. And they're kind of it's not an option that we're not going to pick you up. But they're kind of no, he told him to kind of get out of there.
Right, yeah.
And, of course, he finally have, someone else kind of meeting up and meeting Kanan. So, an Imperial officer. So, that was a cool thing. Oh, yeah, and, of course, that's when they send the command out. That was Tarkin, right?
That was Tarkin, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him at first because he had the helmet on.
Because he had the helmet on, yeah. I was like, who's coming out of, what is this?
Yeah.
But yeah, that weird helmet on that, the other guy has.
Yeah.
So,
I'm glad they finally got a face-to-face kind of encounter.
Yeah, and I like that. And I like, him at the end, you're not going to get anything out of me. And, we know that he's in for some torture.
You're right. The ball with the needle.
Yep, it's coming in.
Yeah, and like you were saying, the message was definitely cool, Ezra stepping up, because you would think it would be, from the series, you would think more likely that it would be Hera, since she's kind of the leader of the rebellion. But I'm definitely glad that kind of the youngest generation, people who don't necessarily remember, the old days of the Republic. So I think it's definitely cool that another Bridger is kind of taking a stand.
Yeah, definitely.
And I definitely like how, you show all these other cities and planets kind of listening to, the message, all kind of turning to, I think it's definitely cool.
No, and I because it's the start. I mean, we had the end to the last, the prequel trilogy, and I think this is kind of, we're seeing the start of the trilogy we all love. And how did this rebellion start? It was a question people always wanted to know. They all of a sudden you get Princess Leia, and she's part of this rebellion, and they have all these bases and stuff everywhere. Well, how did this start? And this is kind of those building blocks, and I really like this.
Right, and of course, like you said, after they definitely do fire on, and like you said, definitely a cool animation of the tower just falling.
Oh yeah, when it gets knocked down. Oh yeah, I love that.
And just, I mean, plus it kind of falls straight, and then it kind of breaks in two, and it just keeps continuing to fall, and that's when it just goes dead. So, so it's just, no, it isn't. It's not over, like they said.
Yep.
So any other thoughts on this episode before we kind of close it out?
No, I'm a big fan. Let's just put it that way. I think that if people aren't watching it yet, that they're missing out, and they need to go back and catch up on this, because this is really cool. It's something I didn't expect. I didn't expect once Disney XD was coming out with a show, because I know a lot of other people really despise what they've done on the Marvel front, which I don't mind. But this is different. This is a different beast. And it's got a connective story, and I really think that this is probably the best episode that they've put out.
Yeah.
From start to finish, we get some fun scenes early on, and then we get some meat and bones, and we get character that we knew, and we get kind of a start to something that's going to get bigger. And I think this is a great episode.
Yeah, agreed. Not much to add, but it's just. I just love the callbacks and such, because in the last episode we really didn't get any. Not that I don't.
No, we didn't.
We didn't get any themes, any previous themes where, I mean, it's kind of like Clone Wars. We didn't really have much of any callback. It was mainly just brand new stuff, which was cool, because I know Lucas kind of wanted to steer away from the Williams music, but now that Lucas is not involved, there's a little more freedom there. So yeah. I definitely agree. It's definitely a cool episode, and it's kind of another one that's kind of a because most of these episodes have been kind of self-contained, but we had another one that was kind of a to be continued, and this one, of course, is more of a to be continued, because the group is not together. So
exactly,
solid episode. Great to have. We've seen R2 and 3PO, then the next
Lando.
We saw Lando, and then now Tarkin. So
yeah, and we even got a Yoda, in the temple. Right. We didn't see him, but we heard him. So right. That was they've done a good job with that. With touch points. We got the one special with a little bit of Vader in it, and I think we're just gonna get more of it. I think they're gonna build this early part of the universe up, and I'm really curious to see how they tie everything in at the end.
Agreed. So I forgot to mention at the beginning, what we usually do is say it was directed by Stuart Lee, who's done a lot of the episodes, and written by Greg Wiseman and Simon Kinberg. So cool stuff. So let's see, where can people reach you?
I am on Twitter at LOGEEKZ. That's the League of Geeks Twitter, and that's Geeks with a Z. Also on Facebook at the League of Geeks. We have a website, theleagueofgeeks.com, and our podcast, of course, the League of Geeks podcast. And if you don't know about us, we talk about everything. We've got one of my co-hosts is a huge Star Wars fan, and we talk about Star Wars all the time. We talk about Marvel, DC, TV, movie. We review movies every week, and it's a long show of three guys who just can't stop talking. So
right, and of course, enough said. of course.
Yes, and also enough said, and that's another show where we can't stop talking. That's mainly we can't stop talking about Spider-Man, but
I know, and you always say like we're not going to talk about it.
But then we do.
Because if you don't know, if you people don't know, like, I mean, obviously you don't know about a conversation on the Facebook Messenger that get really intense, but we've also had these talks on the podcast, and of course, we won't get into it, but of course the whole deal is kind of going on, and huge changes over there. But and I was on the summer series reviewing all the MCU films, and every so often I'll pop on there, but trying to get these round tables with all 5 hosts. It's usually just 3 hosts, but it's just really hard. So check that out. So then I'm at JE, and of course check out their podcast. So it's good. Check out me at JEBell49 on Twitter. Nikki at iHeartCoulson. She's another huge Marvel fan.
I was gonna say, holy cow, iHeartCoulson.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And of course, he follows her. Greg.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, follows him. So, and Nikki hopes to meet him at I think Emerald City or something. So, let's see. Then at Radio Free Indoor, Facebook.com/Radio Free Indoor. So then kind of leave us a review on iTunes if you haven't already for both podcasts. So I think that's about it. So for Alil, I'm Jonathan, and thanks